To be humble, to be kind, it is a giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. And to be bold, to be brave, it is the thinking that the heart can still be saved. And the darkness can come quick, the danger's in the anger and in the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. And tell me what it is that you see, a world that's full of endless possibilities. And heroes don't look like they used to, they look like you do. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
Buenos dias, good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley. I'm Sandy Portillo Robbins, and I will be your worship associate today. No matter who you are or how you make your living, no matter whom you love or how you experience the sacred, we hope you will feel welcome here. We welcome you in the fullness of who you are. Everyone is invited to stay after the service and make your way across the atrium for lunch and conversation in the social hall. If there is something on your heart that you would like lifted up in our service, there is a memory book at the back of the sanctuary where you can write a joy or sorrow that will be read during the service. You are always welcome to simply light a candle for a silent memory or prayer. We don't have our typical programs for children and youth during the summer season. Kids are welcome to stay in the service, and childcare is available as well. Today, we welcome to our chancel Reverend Charlotte Kramer. Reverend Charlotte is an ordained interfaith minister and chaplain with her Master of Divinity from Star King School for the Ministry, a certificate of chaplaincy from the Chaplaincy Institute, and 4 units of clinical pastoral education from the Shaw Chaplaincy Institute. She works as a street minister in San Rafael in Marin County, California, providing spiritual care for the many unhoused folks currently living in the city. Reverend Charlotte also works in Marin County Jail, providing direct spiritual care to inmates and leads tarot card reading group sessions. Reverend Charlotte has recently started her own organization, Temple of the Forgotten, an interfaith organization that helps build professional and community-based spiritual care for our unhoused neighbors and locally incarcerated population. Now, please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening song, Blue Boat Home, number 1064 in the Teal hymnal. The words will be on the screen.
Low below me I feel the ocean, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life long, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
As we light our chalice to begin our service, we remind ourselves that our church occupies land in Huchiyun, the unceded territory of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people. May we have the humility and courage to do our part to restore what has been broken and the wisdom to live into a new solidarity with Indigenous communities. Let us kindle our chalice flame with these words by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Would you join me in saying our covenant? Love guides this church. The quest for truth and justice is its common purpose. To give thanks, listen deeply, speak with care, honor our differences, and seek and grant forgiveness. These things we covenant with one another.
I'm talking about
Good morning.
the unfortunate
So today we're going to be having a conversation around street chaplaincy, and that includes and is about the unhoused community. And it was very important to me that since I am not unhoused, nor have I been unhoused, that a voice from the unhoused community is present here today. Even if he is not able to be here in person, I have a recording of him. And Mark gave me his consent to share this recording and to share his name as well. And his hope was that you could hear a little bit of his story and connect with him in the ways that you can, and just enjoy the beauty of this human being who I personally love very much. And so I hope you learn something from this recording. I hope you deepen into it and really listen to his reflections on his life. Thank you.
Okay. Hey. Can you tell me your name and maybe a little bit about yourself, like right now, like.
Of course. I'm Mark Rivera. I'm 64. I live in San Rafael in the city park, and I have been self-sufficient here for the most part, and I rely on the kindness of members of the house community for their acceptance of myself being here. That's probably the most important thing to me. Yeah. Now these days, my ambition is strong, and I have goals that I intend to manage to come to fruition, and hopefully bring a couple of life lessons along with me. How's that?
That's great. What are some of your goals? Like what, like where do you see yourself? You on TV?
No. The joke that I've carried with me for several years now is, and most homeless people, they also share this sentiment that I want to share with you, and that's food availability.
Food availability.
If someone would, for quite some time now, someone would ask me, well, what can I do for you? Cheeseburger. That was the joke, a cheeseburger,
Yeah.
like Wimpy,
Yeah.
the cartoon.
Yeah.
But yes. I went through periods of time in my 32 years of being homeless, of dreaming about food, about dreaming about nothing but food, just enjoying like a hot meal. That is on the top of the list of, I pretty much guarantee it, for homeless people that for the most part have their life together. I'm talking about the unfortunate souls that are heavy drinkers or use of narcotics where they don't feel like eating.
Yeah.
Their dreams are of using those things. Mine are about food, and most homeless people that have their act together to the degree where at least they know where they want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What has your journey with food been? I know it's been a really intense one for you.
Yes, it has certainly been a roller coaster ride, and it's not over yet. And fortunately, I'm on the downhill swing at this point. So I'm putting weight on. I'm regaining my health, and focusing on improving the stress level.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, like you said, you've been homeless for 35 years.
32.
32.
Yeah.
That's a really long time. And like, how's that impacted who you are as a person? And like,
it made me bitter, made me angry, made me ostracized from the house community that don't understand what homeless people go through, only what they see of the negative side. What they don't see is what caused the homelessness to begin with.
Yeah.
And one can say, oh, it's bad upbringing or drugs or alcohol, but what caused the drug and alcohol use is what caused the homelessness, and society caused the drug and alcohol use.
Yeah.
And only society can fix homelessness.
For sure. Yeah. If you could like say something to society, like to the house community. I know you said before, like,
it takes a village.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and I know you said like more acceptance and kindness and stuff.
And I understand everybody has limitations in terms of what they're capable of expressing of themselves. But I accept cash and credit cards, so
Not just kindness.
We can make up for these little inadequacies. Money, I tell you, it cures everything, right?
Does it?
No, to be safe, warm, or cool. In the summers, they get hot here. To be accepted by society.
Yeah.
Just for who I am, for who I present to be.
Yeah.
And again, I'm more than willing to accept someone's opinion of me on site, especially if it's positive.
Yeah.
No, but you get what I mean. It's like, I don't get a choice. What they think, they think.
Yeah.
But and that there's always hope. I don't think of it as hope. There's always, it's got to be something we can do here.
Yeah, I agree.
To get somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to now that I got my wits about me again.
Yeah.
That dementia from malnutrition.
Yeah.
Really affected a lot of my life, and it takes a whole lot of energy to try to catch up with society and its pace.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
Because especially here, we move so fast.
Being on foot. Being on foot in Marin County.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's a challenge for me to remain with my equilibrium because of the traffic flows is so unpredictable.
Yeah.
Here in Centerville.
Yep, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Mark. Is there anything else you want to say to the people of the world? Any last message?
Yes, donate to Charlotte's Church.
Thank you. Oh, that's Mark. Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you very much for that wonderful tape. It was excellent to hear it. My family history, which has been mostly suppressed because of embarrassment of my parents, didn't ever reveal until I was much older that my father's family went into Section 8 housing when the grandpa died during the Depression, and they became nearly unhoused at that point in their lives. So it's one event can bring down a family where there were 5 children and a surviving mother, and that's in my own history. So thank you for that. We're going to do a song called "In Time of Silver Rain," and it's a Langston Hughes poem and a George Walker song, who was the composer for the song. Langston Hughes was not really taught in my high school or junior high, but it's sometimes taught in blue states today. You can learn about black culture and the Harlem Renaissance in some junior highs or high schools in maybe not in the South, but elsewhere. So that's what this is about. And anyway, I recommend his poetry, but he was also a newspaper writer and a columnist. So Langston Hughes is not only famous for the Harlem Renaissance, but he had a public following in those places too. In time of silver rain, The earth puts forth new life again. Green grasses grow and flowers lift their heads, and over all the plain the wonder spreads of life, of life, of life. In time of silver rain, the butterflies lift silken wings, and trees put forth new leaves to sing in joy beneath the sky in time of silver rain, when spring and life are new.
Please join me if you are willing for a brief meditation. If you feel comfortable, put your feet on the ground. Put your hands on your lap or on your belly or on your heart. Perhaps close your eyes and start to enter into a space of deep breathing. In and out. Feeling your belly rise and fall. Feeling your body, your beautiful body, grounded into this earth, into this space, surrounded by other beautiful bodies. And as you breathe, start to breathe in and out of your feet. Let the rise and the fall go to your feet, and then up to the crown of your head, and then down to your feet. And if you would like to imagine there are roots going out from your feet into the earth. Strong roots. Roots that travel far. And breathe into those roots. Breathe into the feeling of being stable on this earth, being held by the ground. And watch as your roots expand outward and suddenly touch other roots, because we're in a forest right now. There's a lot of roots. And see how they are all interconnected. How each one gives each other love, information. How we're trusting each other to be this close. And breathe into this root system. Not just your roots, but the roots that you are connected to, that are around you in this space, in this town, this city, this state and country and world. Breathe into this interconnectedness. Feeling what a magnificent thing we are part of. Take a few more deep breaths. And come back from the world into your body. And send your body some gratitude for being so powerful, for contributing to this big world root. And put your hand on your heart. Say thank you. And open your eyes when you're ready. Thank you.
In this community of care and witness, we hold one another in the seasons of our lives. We acknowledge the joys and the pains that weave our lives together. And this morning we're with Everly. Deepest heartfelt condolences to Nori for the passing of her sister. And from Cece, positive healing thoughts for my son's father who started chemotherapy last week. From somebody I don't know, no name. Gratitude for the love of community here. Special remembrance for Pat and Richard, Angeli, with thanks for this leaves of poetic, I'm sorry, I can't read that last word, atmosphere. From Karen Elliott, our member Anne Fernald fell and broke her hip yesterday. Please send her good energy for healing. From Catherine Hanway, new member Maggie is in rehab after severe flu and pneumonia, making good progress. Good energy wishes and are welcome. From Nori Clark, remembering my sister Cecily, who died on June 20th after a long battle with cancer. From Mare, celebrating my mother who's moved in with my brother. And from Lynn Hammond is celebrating my dear friend Betsy, who sent this pink sweater to me from North Carolina for my birthday and has carved out time from her very busy life to visit me today. For all these that have been spoken aloud and all that yet remains in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, may we know that what is held by each of us here is held in the larger loving embrace of our community and by a greater love that holds us all. Please remain seated to join in our meditative song, Spirit of Life, number 123 in the gray hymnal. The words will be on the screen.
I remember the very first time in my life that I consciously recognized poverty. It was actually in China. I was 6 years old, and I was adopting my little sister. And we had just gotten her. We were with an adoption group. And we'd gotten her about a day or 2 days prior. And we had just had lunch somewhere with the group, with all the babies. And we came out of the restaurant and started walking to our bus. And a lot of people started to crowd around us and ask us for money. The first thing I remember seeing, I was 6 years old, was a man with one leg. He was on crutches. And I remember being very confused. I didn't understand. And I was scared too. I didn't know what was happening, but we got onto the bus. And I remember sitting down and looking out the window. And across the street, there was a big building, a big fancy building, and I saw a little girl who was my age standing outside the building with a little baby in her arms, and she was asking for money. My first reaction was anger. I was confused. I didn't understand. Because in that moment, I saw myself and my little sister. I had just gotten my little sister. And there I was looking at a girl who had the same age as me, same age as my sister. And then I felt shame. I felt really deep shame, and I turned to my parents and I said, I am never eating a hamburger ever again. Because I had just eaten a really delicious hamburger, and I hadn't even finished it. And that was 6-year-old me's way of trying to figure out the feeling that I was having, of shame, of not knowing, of confusion. I remember that moment because that moment is seared into my brain. And growing up, I grew up right outside of New York City, grew up in a very wonderful, kind, privileged family. Whenever we went traveling, whenever I went to New York City, every time I passed somebody who was unhoused, the first thing I would feel was fear, and then confusion, and then shame. And that followed me my entire life. And I didn't pay attention to it because I didn't want to, because who likes to pay attention to shame? And it wasn't until I began my work as a minister, I began to go to seminary, I started to think, okay, there's some things I need to work on here if I'm going to be a minister. And I said to myself, this might be one of them, because this is, it's not so good. And so I practiced, I would smile at someone. I tried to take small baby steps, really working with my fear and the shame. But it was, again, also at the back of my mind. And I was in seminary because I really wanted to be a hospital chaplain. I was really interested in death, dying, illness. And so I was head-on focused. I'm going to do this. I remember sitting in a class, there was a seminar, and it was on different forms of chaplaincy. And one of the people was a street minister, and she talked about the work she did. She's now a good friend of mine, but at the time I was watching her, and I remember thinking to myself, I will never do that. I could never. I'm not good at it. I wouldn't know what to do. And so I kept on going on. Death, dying, illness, I'm going to be a hospital chaplain, until the day came that I had to find an internship. And if you know anything about chaplaincy, you will know that the internships that you find as a chaplain are in hospitals and hospice. Very easy, the most accessible. I could not find a single internship for the life of me. None of them worked. So I kept looking and kept looking. One day I was so desperate and so annoyed, I Googled Marin chaplaincy, and the street chaplaincy popped up, which was an organization that was serving the unhoused community in San Rafael. And I sent them a quick email. I was like, whatever, and ended up having a Zoom call with the executive director and had a moment where we were talking, where I felt like the Holy Spirit was present there with me. And I don't know about you, but I find it hard to feel spiritual on Zoom. Some people can, some people can't. But this was a Zoom call that I will never forget, because the Holy Spirit was there sitting next to me saying, hey, lady, you got to do this. And luckily, I'm a person, if I fear something, I know that it's time to go towards it. That has always been a gift of mine that I trust. And so I was like, okay, here we go. And so at the age of 25, I walked into my first encampment and started my work as a street chaplain. I am standing here. I'm not behind a pulpit. I'm not reading anything to you today. There's a reason for this. I started talking about my work as a street chaplain about a year ago. And it was very hard for me to preach about it. I would go home and I would feel sad, depressed, tired. And then I started to practice this, speaking from the heart. And that did something for me. That began to heal me, and it began to actually allow me to speak about the work that I do. Because the work that I do is very vulnerable. It's very precious. The love that I feel for the unhoused community is very deep, very profound, and deeply spiritual for me. And to speak about it with a barrier between me and you doesn't make sense. And to speak about it from any other place than from my heart, it doesn't make sense. This work transformed me, clearly. I went from being a person who couldn't look an unhoused person in the eyes, literally could not. And now I have relationships and friendships with unhoused folks, and I'm starting an organization to work with them, to work with the care for them, which I will be telling you more about later. Street chaplaincy was my bridge. It transformed who I am and how I walk in the world. And I believe that it actually has the transformative power to change how all of us view homelessness and how we're approaching it right now. To me, it is one of the very important answers that we have been missing to this big question of how do we find healing with our most vulnerable community members. So what does a street chaplain do? A lot of people don't know. This is not a job you can go on LinkedIn and find. I'm not going on Indeed.com and saying, I want to move to Seattle. You can't find a job as a street chaplain. This is a job that people have been doing for no pay for a very long time. People have been doing it for little pay for a very long time. People have been homeless while doing this job for a very long time. A street chaplain is a person who walks on the streets and connects with people. My work is to meet people where they are, to bear witness to what they are experiencing, to listen deeply, to not put my ideas on them, and to care and to build a healthy relationship. It is the deepest spiritual work because it is about showing up with a kind of compassion that breaks down all barriers and allows two human beings to stand and talk and connect. It is a joy. It is a joy. I also work in the jails. I work with people who are waiting months and years for the court systems to figure out what to do with them, because that's what they're doing. And they are sitting there waiting and waiting, wondering what's going to happen, wondering if they'll be homeless again, wondering if somebody will come help, wondering if they'll be able to stay sober. The street chaplain's work is also in the jails, because there's a lot of, if you're unhoused, you're going to be in jail at some point. Not 100%, but it's often the case. And so I work a lot with people in the jails. In jail, my work is a lot more about really deep, in-depth work. We talk about past traumas. We talk about life experiences. We talk about goals and hopes and transformation. I give them homework. On the streets, it's a little different. I'm working with a population that is actively in survival mode and actively still traumatized. And so that is about the connection. That is about laughter. That is about care, showing up, no matter what. I don't know what's going to happen on any given day. I don't know what mood someone's going to be in. I don't know if someone's going to be having a mental health crisis. I don't know if they'll be high or sober. Some days I will walk around and someone doesn't want to talk to me. Some days they want to tell me everything that has happened. The street chaplain works with the community in a diverse way. In the course of my work, I've learned some huge things. I've learned many, many things, as you can imagine. A lot of different things. But there are two things that have stuck in my heart. The first, that it is rare for an unhoused person or a person in county jail to experience unconditional love and support. To have a person in their life who really is capable of showing up, being there for them. I had a week, it was a very interesting week, where for some reason I had multiple clients. I was talking to clients about love. I had multiple people tell me that they had never experienced real love before. And knowing their history, knowing their past, knowing their relationships, I believed them. And that was really hard for me to hear, as someone who loves them so deeply. To be the person who they say, I trust you the most. I've never said this to anyone before. To imagine how many people in this country are holding painful secrets and suffering that they can't share because there's no one there to hear them. Can you imagine? The second thing that I learned over the course of my work is how powerful it is to be judged, how powerful and profoundly harmful it is to experience hatred, judgment, fear, disgust, anger, and how those who are unhoused are feeling that. They know that that's what we feel. And it's not all of us, thank God, but they can feel it, and it affects them. And when we think about the grand ecosystem of human beings, the way we interact, the way we connect, it makes sense that when there's a large group of people that are pushing away another group of people, that the other group of people is probably going to feel it, and they're going to have to survive in light of that. They're going to have to figure out how to keep going, despite the fact that their community has essentially abandoned them. These were two very painful things for me to realize. Again, because of the love, the connection that I have felt, the life-changing relationships that I have built with people who live outside. So I started Temple of the Forgotten. And my hope for Temple of the Forgotten is that is the beginning of a movement. Because we need a movement right now. We live in a world and in a country where we have said, okay, we need the government to build more houses, affordable housing. We need them to greater access to food and water. We need more social services. That's all important. I fully agree with that. But no real change will come if the community is continuing to judge and fear and push away. We cannot forget the power of community and emotions and spirituality and connection and relationships. And we have been. Temple of the Forgotten is founded on the idea that the greatest harm unhoused folks are experiencing right now is community isolation and dehumanization. Because when we take off our politics hat and we take off our I know everything hat, because we all have that, and when we take off all of the hats that we wear and we just get down to our human bodies, let's get down into our human bodies, does it make sense that we are ridiculing and judging the people who are experiencing the most pain and suffering and trauma? The people who need our help the most. The people who have had childhoods that are stuff of nightmares. Does it make sense that we've created this barrier, that we've made it impossible for them to feel welcome, to be housed? Some of them, it's just impossible. Does that make sense? Like on a human level, I don't think it does. It really doesn't. So Temple of the Forgotten is the beginning of this movement that I'm hoping, I know that's being started across the country, of how do we build relationships again? How do we repair this divide that has been created? How do we show up and actually begin to bring our community together to create a community of belonging? How do we do that? Temple of the Forgotten, first and foremost, believes in street chaplains. I believe that we need to have more street chaplains in the world. A street chaplain is a bridge. A street chaplain knows how to listen to somebody who's experiencing homelessness. They know how to assess what their needs are. They know how to bring in resources that are dependent on what those person's needs are and what they say they need. A street chaplain knows that an individual who is experiencing homelessness is not part of a big problem that is all the same, but that an individual experiencing homelessness is an individual who has a diverse and unique set of problems and experiences and needs that need to be addressed individually, not thrown into the bucket. A street chaplain is capable of doing all these things, and if we can imagine a world where there's hundreds of street chaplains in every city, what do you think would happen? I think something would happen. I think something magical would happen. Temple of the Forgotten is also dedicated to helping communities like yours to begin to overcome any big emotions that we may feel around homelessness, around addiction, around mental illness, around poverty, around trauma. We need to start having conversations with one another about these things, or else the misinformation will continue to grow and we will continue to push away. We need to get to a place of deep compassion. All of us who are housed, all of us who have resources and privilege, we need to find our way to that compassion and begin to understand that we and the unhoused community are the same. We are them and they are us. One of the biggest things that was a surprise for me when I began my work was how much I saw myself in the people I was working with. How much I could connect with them and how much, in fact, I felt like I was seen by them more than I was in normal society. Temple of the Forgotten is dedicated to creating these programs and workshops and opportunities for us to have these conversations, and then give volunteers places where they can begin to create connections, where they can begin to participate in the lives of their unhoused neighbors. It may feel impossible to some, but as the Tao Te Ching says, what is improbable is great. I experienced the fear. I experienced the shame. I pushed away. I ignored. And then I was very grateful and gifted with the opportunity to go into that. And I cannot explain to you in words the profound nature to which I have changed as a human being. The gift of showing up, the gift of witnessing suffering and choosing to not run away, that is life-changing. And in a world where our country is beginning to feel the quakes of destabilization, what we need most is togetherness and a willingness to go into those scary places within ourselves and within our communities and to really show up. This, in my opinion, is the future of ministry. It's the future of religion, is how do we bridge the divide? How do we come together? Temple of the Forgotten is trying to do this work, and this work is unprecedented. It's cutting edge. We've been ignoring the emotions and humanness and spirituality of the unhoused community for a very long time. And it's time that we stop and really, really begin to show up as a community. So my hope for you as you go forth today, if you want to know more, come talk to me. But if you just want to keep doing your thing, I respect that. But all I ask is that the next time you pass by someone who is unhoused, you give them a smile. Say hello. Give them some love. And if you're feeling fear, go home and write about it. Go home and talk to a person you love about it. Don't let it fester away. Bring all that forth and really choose to practice the compassion. Because I guarantee that not only you will feel the effects of that, but the people who need it most will feel the effects of it too. Thank you. Blessed be.
We invite you now into the spiritual practice of generosity. It's time for the offering. Instead of passing the plate, you can give electronically by scanning the QR code on the back of your badge, or you can put a cash or check donation in the envelope that you'll find in the back of the pew in front of you. Write your name on it and write offering plate or pledge, and then put it into the donation box beside the fountain in the atrium as you leave the service. Each week, half of the offering plate is shared with a nonprofit Good Neighbor organization recommended by our wonderful Social Justice Council. Thank you so much for practicing generosity with UUCB and with our good neighbors. Offerings of any amount are accepted with gratitude. The good neighbor for this month is the Richmond Emergency Food Pantry. The Richmond Emergency Food Pantry provides food for over 40,000 individuals annually. It is run on volunteers and donations alone. Thank you.
Maybe it is possible for wholeness to come like sleep or like waking. An easing of the breath, a lifting of the heart, as sudden and complete as the jay that appears outside my window. Distillate of sky,
Please join me in dedicating our offering. We dedicate our offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation to create loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service. It's been good being together here today. I want to remind you to check out our website, uucb.org, to explore all the things that are available in our congregation. On the homepage in News, you'll find our link to our weekly email newsletter, The Week Ahead, which includes a list of activities, announcements, and contact information. I have several important announcements today. First, July 3rd at 9 a.m., the American Guild of Organists concert at UUCB. Outstanding organ performances showcasing a variety of musical styles by internationally known performers James Keeley and Robert Horton. This event is open to our congregation. July 8th through 12th is Unplugged Week. The UUCB staff will be unavailable to the congregation and the public. All emails and phone calls will be returned starting July 15th. On Sunday, July 14th at 1:30, A Year to Save the Earth, a musical and multimedia experience by Jim Scott. And on July 14th, the Transylvanian Art and Embroidery Sale. And I don't have a time for that, but okay. And finally, last but certainly not least, JetPig passes with 80% majority vote and I have a little quote from an online UU World article. After a democratic process involving thousands of Unitarian Universalists discussing the faith's values and core theology over the past 3+ years, delegates at General Assembly 2024 voted decisively to approve a new statement of values and beliefs for Unitarian Universalism. This is a historic moment for Unitarian Universalism as we move our living tradition forward to focus on shared values that will help promote liberation, radical inclusion, and communal care, both within our church and across society, said UUA President Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt. Now, please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing song, Answering the Call of Love, number 1014 in the Teal hymnal. The words will be on the screen.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide, and so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are standing on the cloud of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim, we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim, we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, which love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, We are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
Please join me in prayer. Holy Spirit of love that flows within and around us, thank you for this blessed day, for our breath in our bodies, for the magnificent sun, for the long days. Thank you for this gathering together. Holy Spirit, as we walk through the world, may our footsteps radiate compassion. May our love and joy flow through the roots that connect all of us and touch the lives of those who are struggling the most. May we remember that we are all connected, that we are all important, and may we uplift the hearts of those who need care. Please, Holy Spirit, remind us in every moment to be grateful for our breath, for all that we have, for the loved ones that surround us. And Holy Spirit, please show us the way. Show us the way forward to create a community of belonging where all are welcome. Amen. Blessed be.